Well, England posted the highest ever score in a T20 international at the Hagley Oval. It looked a wee bit rusty in the first game, which of course was washed out, but there was no sign of any rust whatsoever. There was a couple of brilliant performances. Harry Brook was the man of the match for 78 off 35 balls. Um, Harmy, there are a lot to talk about, and I know that I don't need to prompt you. So I just want to get in a little personal favorite of mine are the little innings that we even people like us who have to look at scorecards every single day, our eye is just naturally drawn to Salt's 85 and Harry Brooks 78. But you know what? If it wasn't for innings like Tom Banton, who
Mm,
made 29 off 12 at the end there, and even Sam Curran,
yeah,
8 off 3 balls, it's those little ones that go under the radar. Without them, England are still probably making 210, which is very good. But,
yeah.
236 puts it. I mean, Harry Brook was absolutely brilliant, but
Mm.
T20 is a funny game, isn't it? Your teammates know what you've done. I thought Tom Banton was brilliant.
Yeah, and I'm so pleased for him as well because he's had a tough time. Tom Banton. Let's be fair, the kid's had a tough time. He got to, close to an England call up. He didn't get it. Then he got into a squad. He fell off the cliff a little bit. He struggled. Then he got a couple of little injuries, and then last winter he was involved again. And you're right. And I'll go that little one further and say about Jordan Cox's innings in that first game. They're trying to find that Liam Livingston role. And I still think Liam, I still think before the World Cup, if Liam has a couple of good franchises, he should still be in the reckoning. But that number six, number seven, 5, 6, 7, who can get, like what Sam did, 8 off 3 balls, like what Tom did, Tom Banton did, 29 off 12. Cox got 16. Fair enough, he got it off 18 balls. But that it was on the pitch and the surface that they were playing on that first game. It wasn't an easy pitch. It wasn't the 230 pitch to play it on the following game. So you're right. These are the little game changers that take the game away. Because how many times do you see a game in T20 cricket won by 5 runs, 10 runs? These little margins are what get you to knockout stages and then win you tournaments, especially when you go and get when you go on a pitch first up and you get 236. I mean that should not get beat. So you're right in that aspect, and England have got to find them roles because I think the top ones are pretty much locked in now. I think the top four are probably locked in. The Jacob Bethel, how does he go? Is he because he can play that 5, 6, 7 role? And are they missing somebody at that number 3 role? Remember only years ago when you had the likes of Roy Bairstow, Root, Butler. They were the four that probably the ones that won you the World Cup in 19. Yes, it was a 50 over game, but it also won you the World Cup in 2023 as well. So I think I think England aren't far away. You stick Archer into this contest, you stick Wood into this contest, Mark Wood. All of a sudden, you've got a 15-man group there. I'm not saying the player Archer and Wood, but all of a sudden, you've got weapons. You've got weapons who can hit the ball out of the park at 5, 6, 7, and you've got two extra set bowlers can bowl 95 mile an hour, additional to a left arm seamer, two big bowlers that can hit the deck hard. I thought Liam Dawson the other night was brilliant. I really did because Adil Rashid got some tap first over. Seifert got him. I mean, he got him first over. Rashid was, he was nowhere. He got him, and then Rashid comes away. What did he get? 4 for 32. Like you say, you look at his scorecard. It looks brilliant, but it wasn't in the first over, and he showed his class and his calmness and the way he goes about his job to pull it back and get the wickets he did. But Liam Dawson driving into the surface just pulled it back a little bit because it power play. England was 68 for 2 off the power play, and New Zealand was 60 for 2. So they're not far away in that respect. I thought Liam Dawson just dragged the rate higher, and then all of a sudden Rashid come and did what he did. So and England have got a lot of things going for them going in towards this World Cup, and I think they're just starting to get the nucleus of a batting order pretty much spot on. But you're right, them ones at 5, 6, 7, I think they win you the tournaments. One of your top three goes a long way to getting you in a position to win games. But I think 5, 6, 7 are the ones that win you the tournaments because they're the ones that get 29 or 12 balls in a semi-final and a final and take the score from 195 to 210 to 215 game over because then you can't have one bad over second innings.
Couple of things. You're old enough to have played in the era before rest and rotation was a thing.
Yeah.
And then when it was a thing, there was this unwritten rule that if you were rested or rotated, then and you weren't dropped, then that place was still yours, sort of
Mm.
thing. So I'm just because I don't think that Ben Duckett and Jamie Smith do have a reserved seat any longer. I mean, in the squad, yeah, sure. But I wonder how they're thinking. I mean, they'll not be thinking, well, he's playing in my place. I deserve a place in that team because they've won 7 out of 8. The only game they've lost was that 5 over Schmozzle against South
Yeah.
Africa in
Yeah.
Cardiff.
100% agree. I think, and they're both fantastic players in Smith and Duckett. I think Smith possibly is the one that doesn't get into the first 11. I think possibly Cox and Bethel are fighting for that. Well, I don't think they're fighting because I think Jacob wins for that number 6, 5, 6, 7 spot. Ben Duckett for me is a shoe in going back into number 3. He really is. So, for me, if I'm looking down a scorecard in a World Cup semi-final, final, if England should get to that far, if I'm looking down a scorecard on a subcontinent surface, I'm looking at Salt, Butler, Duckett, and Brook. I'm fancying my team's chances. I really am, with the artillery of what potentially is coming behind. So Sam Curran, I think, should stay in the team, and then it's probably two from three, which would be Banton, Cox, and Bethel for 5, 6, 7. And that for me, with Akars, Dawson, Rashid, Luke Wood, an Archer, a Mark Wood, add Jamie Smith to it. I mean, that's not a bad 14 so far we've talked about. And you possibly put a Jamie Overton in there. That's a very, very good World Cup squad, I think, going to Sri Lanka in February, March.
Okay, quick word about Sam Curran then, and talking about subcontinental surfaces. Seems to me that he's expanding his repertoire of tricks. Like he's got the super slower ball bouncer
Mm.
now, and he's sort of got these, I mean, like wildly exaggerated deliveries, which he bowls into the surface, and I mean, if a batsman does start picking him, he's gonna
Yeah.
he's gonna be hit a long way. But it seems to me that, well, it's a question. I wondered rather than it seems to me whether he's working on this expanded repertoire of exotic deliveries, particularly for the subcontinent.
Yeah, I think he will be. Yeah, this might come out. This might come out a horrible way, but I think he's working it for the IPL because of the contract that he's got on the IPL, rather than he is for the World T20 finals. But at the end of the day, they're in the similar part of the world, and the skill sets are for the same. So what I would say with Sam is, he's slightly expensive. Three overs for 37. But he's in a role which I think suits him. He's in that number. He went in at number 5. He went in at number 6, the one we get in the first game. This is the best role for him. Take some responsibility with a bat, have some responsibility bowling a power play with a ball. But a bit like what England have done with Zach Crowley over the last sort of 3 years, stick with him because he's going to perform in Australia. That's what you hope for. I think for Sam Curran, he performs well, especially with bowling side of it. He performs well on surfaces which ball sits in, the subcontinent wickets, the India, the Sri Lanka, the Pakistan wickets. And I think because of that, I think he'd be, for me, should be one of the first names on the team sheet when you get to the World Cup. At this minute in time, he can look a little bit of a liability with a ball, or not as effective with a ball on a wicket in England or in New Zealand. But I think bigger picture, I think Sam Curran is a key member of this group for me. If when we balance the side out for the Subcontinent World Cup, so yeah, I think he is working for it. I'm not sure he's working it for the World T20. I think it might be for the IPL and staying relevant in that tournament. And I sound like Goffey here, picking up his contract.
Okay, just a final thought or a question again. Um, should England's team be settled by the time of that pre T20 World Cup tour of Sri Lanka? They've got three T20s there, haven't they? And well, unless they've changed the schedule, I think it was three T20s and oddly, peculiarly, three 50 over games. But Should the team be settled, or still a work in progress, or in fact, should they be picking from the 15-man squad for every game? And there is no such thing as the 11 and the four reserves.
No, I think it's the 15-man squad I'd be looking at. For me, at this, if I was in charge of this, I'd be looking and making sure that my game plan is settled. Sitting with Harry, talking to experienced players who play a lot of T20 cricket, the likes of Rashid, the likes of Butler. Salt plays a lot of T20 cricket, especially the ones that aren't in the Ashes, and basically talk to them about what's our game plan, what is our power player, where our strengths and weaknesses are, what we need. For me, the game plan, we've got a lot of players that can fit into the game plan that I think England are utilising at this moment in time. There's a lot of players who can bat 5, 6, and 7. We've got quite a few players now who can bat at 1, 2, 3, 4, who are different types of players, who are more suited in power play players, hitting ball through the field as well as hitting it over the field. We've now got power down the bottom. I'd throw Livingston's name still in the mix, in that sort of bits and pieces cricketer type. And then the same with the bowlers. Who's my two gun power play bowlers? When do my spinners come into the game? Talking about strategies from Harry's point of view, and then making sure we've got possibly two players for every position. And then when we get to end of January, coming into February, we can whittle it down to 15. I think England, I could sit here now and say I've got 18 names at this minute in time who I think could go and do every bit as good a job as each other to go and potentially compete and win the World T20. The hard part, and which is a nice thing for Rob Key, Harry Brook and Brendan McCullum, is getting that 18 into 15. That's probably is more than 18, but I think realistically, I'm looking at possibly 18 players at this moment in time with names go into that T20 World Cup. And unfortunately, 3 are going to have to miss out. But I think England have got a great chance when they do get to Sri Lanka, and with a bit of luck, they could go all the way.